now. We are going to start with some in-gathering music. You're live now. We're going to start with some Welcome and good morning. I am Molly Brinkerhoff, today's worship associate. Today is a unique day. This is our first online service, and please bear with us. I'm sure as time goes on, we will improve. This is all new to us. So welcome in this morning, this day, and this opportunity to be together in community online. So I have a few announcements to make. First, we would like everyone to sign in on the chat box to the right of your screen. This will let us know who is joining us. And please refrain from making any further comments until Joys and Concerns. We will be having Joys and Concerns, but it will be after the sermon. I will be reading those, or actually Daniel will be reading those, and we will light a candle for you. And you can post that in the chat box, but we'll explain that a little bit further. Finally, before we get started, we need to mention how we stay afloat. Later in the service, we're going to have an offertory time. There are several ways that you can do this. First, you can still send your pledge or other donation by mail. Second, you will see that there is a donate button on the upper right-hand side of your screen. When you click on this button, you can pay via PayPal. Be sure to note whether it's a plate donation or a pledge donation. Please note that even if the building is closed, we still have church expenses to pay, plus additional expenses due to this online process, such as a new camera. So thank you. We will now move into the sacred time of worship. As I ring the peace bell 3 times, take deep breaths and relax so we can move into worship. For this moment in time, let go of your anxieties, fears, and worries. Be in this moment. We will now begin our service with our prelude, May Nothing Evil Cross Our Door. Since we are not all together, I will read our church covenant for us all. You can recite it from home with me if you like. Love is the spirit of this community and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. We will now be lighting our chalice. If you have a candle or chalice available, please light yours with me. Or imagine it in your own head. If you don't have one immediately available, we invite you to consider one for the future so you can light a chalice or a candle within your own home. The chalice lighting reading for today is for a virtual community by Nancy Reed McKee. Our community knows no boundaries. We are not confined by the physical limits of walls, or for that matter, of what often binds us, restricts us, holds us back. We are freer than we know. When we release ourselves and each other from expectations of what is needed for true community, we are here together in space. I see you, I love you, and I light this chalice, a beacon of this community, holding us all together here and now.
On this strange Sunday, we gather together in new ways, linked to each other through the delicate tracery of electrons and through the invisible bonds of caring and love, sharing with millions the wondering and fear and uncertainty of this time. Good people, may each of us stay well and whole. May we find our ground of strength and clarity. May our hearts break open to new ways of caring for our neighbors as ourselves. May we know, even as we are alone, that we are held in a great embrace of love. Words from my colleague Florence Caplow that I have adapted. And now I offer my reflection. The power of gratefulness to face our fears and to build resilience. COVID-19, quarantine, stock market dives, canceled events, job loss, uncertainties galore. Indeed, we have ample reasons to be fearful. And fear has ample ways to take us down if we let it. Fear breeds fear, as well as anxiety, hopelessness, isolation, violence, self-harm, apathy, delusion. Fear can drag us down any of these paths if we let it take up residence inside us and push out everything else when we fail to recognize the role fear plays in our lives. As you know, fear is an emotion. It's a reaction to something. Like all emotions, fear gives us valuable information. Fear tells us when something in our world is dangerous, a threat, an unknown. And with this awareness, we can decide how to respond. Fear can direct us to stop, reevaluate, learn more, reassess, make different choices so we can keep ourselves and others safe. It can wake us up, shake us up, change our world. Once we recognize that fear is here to alert and inform us, then what we do is the question. What do we do with it? We need to let it go. That's what we need to do. We don't gain anything by holding on to the fear after it's done its job. When we allow fear to hang around after it has served its purpose, fear starts to drain our energy and power. It darkens our vision and our judgment. Eventually, it can disable us. We really need to move the fear through us. The challenge before us is whether we see fear as something that comes for a short visit or something that takes up permanent residence in our psyche. When confronted with the challenging news of the day, how will you choose to work with the fear that comes? That's the question. When I invite you to see it as an ally that brings, as I mentioned before, vital information about dangerous situations, a messenger that serves a purpose, and then moves on, an emotional fuel that ignites your courage. Fear warns of danger, awakes you to inner courage, and informs you to act. One way, if not the most important way it informs you to act, is to practice gratefulness for the gift of life. Gratefulness or gratitude is the primary wellspring of all religions, the hallmark of the mystic, the source of all true art. That is why so many spiritual traditions begin with thanksgiving, to remind us that for all our woes and worries, our existence itself is an unearned benefaction, which we could never of ourselves create. Yet, we so easily take this gift for granted. We have received an inestimable gift to be alive in this beautiful, self-organizing universe, to participate in the dance of life with senses to perceive it, lungs that breathe it, organs that draw nourishment from it, is a wonder beyond words. It is an extraordinary privilege to be accorded a human life with self-reflective consciousness that brings awareness of our own actions and the ability to make choices. It lets us choose to take part in the healing of the world. It is my understanding that in the Tibetan Buddhist path, followers are asked to pause before any period of meditative practice and proceed it with reflection on the preciousness of a human life. And they say this is not because we humans are superior to others, but because we can change the karma. In other words, graced with self-reflectiveness consciousness, we are endowed with the capacity for choice, to take stock of what we are doing and change directions. It is also my understanding that in Buddhist practice, that a first reflection is followed by a second reflection on the brevity of this precious human life. They say, death is certain. The time of death is uncertain. That reflection awakens in us the precious gift of the present moment, to be grateful for the moment. And what does gratefulness really mean? I like what the gratefulness team with the Network for Grateful Living says about gratefulness. They say, we often refer to gratefulness as an orientation to life with an unconditional and expansive embrace, one that is not reserved for that which is pleasant, desired, or ongoing our way. Rather, it is an embrace that accepts and includes the full greatness of life, the entirety of our experience. Such an embrace opens us to the teachings and opportunities within every moment. It offers us what we need, not merely to survive difficult times, but to appreciate their gifts, even when the gifts take time to be revealed. When life feels too small or too big to handle, too predictable or too uncertain, this is when we need gratefulness the most. In the midst of times of uncertainty, it serves us to reflect on how gratefulness might help to calm us, to reduce fears and expectations, opens us to greater clarity and love, and fuels action grounded in our deep intentions. Now, good people, this isn't a Pollyannish approach of denial. Just think good thoughts and everything will go away, or will be okay. This is a powerful way to cultivate resilience, compassion, and inner strength. You see, our brains are hardwired to focus on what's wrong, what's dangerous, what's bad. In other words, the worst case scenario. This fight, flight, freeze response to danger or disturbance comes from our brain stem, the reptilian part of our brain that focuses on keeping us alive. This preoccupation with survival mode can serve us well when danger is imminent, but it can cripple us when facing anticipated problems and extended threats or future concerns. It can cause us to fixate on the negative and block out all the positive. This phenomena is referred to as negativity bias. As Rick Hanson describes in his book, Resilience, our brains are like Velcro for bad experiences and like Teflon for good ones. That's why we so easily obsess about what's frightening us. Our anxiety ramps up in our creativity, and our ability to imagine alternative scenarios shuts down. It traps us in worrying, fear, and panic. It's extremely difficult to tap into our best selves when we feel this way. Fortunately, we can counter the negativity bias with concentrated effort and intentions. Studies in neuroscience have shown definitely that we can change our brain chemistry, that we can activate and stimulate those parts of our brain that register calm, safety, love, compassion, and imagination. Recognizing that our brains overlearn from bad experiences and underlearn from positive ones, we have to work extra hard at exercising our ability to take in the good. So, what might this mean with regards to how we respond to the immediate concerns of COVID-19? How might gratefulness impact what we do, how we do it, and who we are during this time? How might we seek out and treasure the unexpected opportunities of the moment? In the midst of losses, how can we direct our attention towards the gifts that remain in our lives so as to build greater capacity to face what is challenging, to build resilience? Here are some possibilities. Reflect on goodness. Reflect with gratitude on the sacrifices of the frontline workers. I'm thinking about all the people in Spain who had every night at 8 p.m. for the past couple of weeks opened her windows and clap and thank the frontline medical professionals. Reflect with gratitude for all those who are self-quarantining, adjusting habits and lives, working overtime to do research, doing tests, and creating vaccines, and provide important, accurate, and timely information. Notice the many ways you can orient your attention to notice all the ways that people are caring for fellow human beings around the globe. Wash your hands for 20 seconds, singing twice happy birthday. Recommended to lather up. Recommended to lather up offers us an opportunity to slow down, to experience gratitude for the gift of hot and cold running water, the miracle of soap, and the wonder of our hands ourselves. I invite you to read the wonderful poem I posted on my Facebook page called Hand Washing by Dory Midnight. In it, she invites us to consider making a sacred ritual of washing our hands, welcoming the opportunity to meditate on all kinds of blessings. I invite you to read it. It's anything but mundane. Another way, practice gratefulness by staying connected. You're probably all doing that anyways, but just a gentle reminder. If you are steering clear of events or planned events that are canceled, might this be an opportunity to connect even more by phone, text, or email with family, friends, and neighbors, and old friends you haven't had time for, to touch base for a long time, to really see how they're doing? How does it feel when you do that, to reflect with gratitude on the relationships in your life or in our lives, and let people know we care about them? Keep in touch and offer connection in all the ways that you can. I'm skipping something. Be generous. That's another way. Extend compassion to those whose lives are impacted most by this crisis. We all know that people's health and livelihoods are in jeopardy and nervous systems are taxed. Try being more patient, kinder. Take a deep breath before responding. Offer smiles and gratitude freely. Give to organizations whose operations and funding efforts are being impacted, but whose services will be needed more than ever. You can think of all kinds of services that are going to need our help. There are ways to support local business, struggling as many of us stay home. Consider making a donation in someone's honor or buying a gift certificate. Another way, see the privileges of the ordinary. In the midst of a focus on how much is being lost, keep noticing all the blessings that remain. Allow yourself to appreciate and to be in awe of what is available to you. Phones, electricity, showers, the beauty and resilience of the natural world, all parts of your body that work, the services and systems that serve your ability to function, and so much more. Commit to that which sustains you. Allow yourself to stay grounded in the things that preserve your integrity and reinforce the beliefs that help you have faith and hope in difficult times. Maintain or increase the rituals, the traditions, reminders, and practices that help you find calm in the midst of any storm. Treat yourself and others to a grateful day. My colleague Gary Kowalski posted this on his Facebook page as yet another way of being grateful by being able to not do anything. He wrote, "When I was young, a top 40 tune by the Statler Brothers glamorized the art of doing nothing. Counting flowers on the wall, that don't bother me at all. Playing solitaire to dawn with a deck of 51. Smoking cigarettes and watching Captain Kangaroo. Don't tell me I've nothing to do." Gary continues, "Captain Kangaroo is a memory, but otherwise cultivating quietude is a lesson where we are relearning lately. With so much in lockdown and quarantine, what shall we do?" Gary asks. "It's the time," the answer, he says, "is to adorn time. Adore it. Listen to music, read a book, watch the birds, take a walk, and look for signs of spring. With church services canceled," he says, "create a bit of Sabbath in your own daily routines. Focus on being rather than doing." He finally says, "COVID-19 is here, and as individuals, there is much we must simply accept. With luck and lots of hand washings, we'll be okay. In the interim, make friends with yourself, and remember, don't just do something, sit there." Now, something else. Research has shown us that keeping a daily gratitude journal can have a profound impact on your well-being, your physical and emotional stress, your ability to handle stress, and your outlook on life. You can start a journal by making a list of 5 things that you are grateful for every day. And try not to repeat anything during the course of the week. They can be simple things like the sun shining, reading a good book today, the love of a friend, the soothing vibration of a cat's purr, a delicious meal. And you can strengthen the positive effects of being grateful by enriching those experiences, allowing yourself to really take the experience in, absorbing it into your being, and then rewarding yourself by turning into whatever is pleasurable, reassuring, helpful, or hopeful about that experience. Enriching and absorbing an experience you're grateful for will increase the activity of 2 neurotransmitter systems, dopamine and norepinephrine, that will flag that experience as a keeper for long-term storage in your brain and your nervous system. So what does this all have to do with what I said in terms of building resilience? Well, resilience is our ability to recover quickly from difficult situations, to be able to stretch our limits like a rubber band that bounces or snaps back into shape. I wish I could go to the store and buy a box of resilience like I can buy a box of rubber bands. But resilience is something we have to cultivate rather than acquire. It's an emotional muscle that needs to be worked. But not in the ways you might think. We don't build up resilience by toughing things out, or by ignoring our feelings, or by leaving the fate of the world in God's hands alone. We find resilience when we become a rubber band that stretches and bounces back. That stretch is a willingness to fall apart, and the snap or bounce back we get from the practice of gratitude. So we are resilient. We are able to fall apart as humans because, though, we can embrace gratitude. So good people, in this time of rapidly changing information, of fears, uncertainties, risk, and restrictions, we will be well served to be as clear, calm, creative, and as imaginative as we can be. I invite you to participate in practices of gratefulness, many of which I'm sure you're already doing. Practice them to help overcome the tendency to fixate on the negative and downplay the positive. During our virtual coffee hour, share ways you have practiced or observed or read about gratefulness that others have done. We know panic does not serve anyone. With so much we cannot control, may it be a comfort to all of us to realize that we can choose gratefulness or being grateful, especially in this time of crisis, and that we can set our intentions to be grateful. For that gratefulness leads to loving kindness with all beings. As we embrace these gratefulness practices, my hope is that we can remain open and receptive to creative ways of weathering the coming unknown storms. Good people, may this be so, and may you make it so. And now we'll have a beautiful piece of music.
So Jackie will be coming forward with a prayer.
Good people, I invite you to close your eyes and find a comfortable position. Put your hands on your heart or rest them softly on your knees. Let us center ourselves for this meditational prayer. Loving God, source of life, that who is closer to us than our own breath. Hear our prayers, our meditations of our hearts. Socially distanced in this pandemic, We feel alone, yet bombarded, overwhelmed, and yet isolated. Our hands crack with cleanliness, our cleanness, and our hearts break with loneliness and fear. This is new, source of life, spirit of life, God, and we don't know what to do, how to feel, how to survive, how to stay hopeful. Be with us in this time of unknowing. Slow our breaths. Cease the churning in our guts. Embrace us, Spirit of Life, with your love in the way we cannot embrace each other right now. Remind us that none of us know how to do this right. Source of life, Spirit, God, we beg for protection for the most vulnerable in our nation and the world right now. Protect the doctors, the nurses, the scientists, and all the healthcare workers at the front lines. Protect their families. Protect the checkout clerks and cashiers, the delivery drivers and the pharmacists. Protect their families. Protect and heal those who are sick, struggling to breathe. Protect their families. Be with all those out of work or about to be. Be with the people alone, starving for connection and touch. Be with the parents trying to smile bravely for their kids, even when their own hearts are aching. Thank you, Spirit of Life, God, Source of Life, for gifts we took for granted or even scoffed until now. Magical new inventions like the telephone, internet, live streaming video, Netflix. Magical ancient inventions like spring, warming weather, a walk outdoors. Magical sounds like the spring peepers, joyful and defiantly refusing to practice any kind of social distance at all. Life springs anew. Spirit of Life, hear our prayers, our meditations. They rise to you from our separate homes, but we pray them, we meditate on them as one. Change our fear to faith. Change our anxiety to loving action. One step at a time, Source of Life, Spirit of Life, God. One step at a time, one day at a time. Be with us. May it be so. May we make it so. I've adapted these words from a colleague. And then Molly.
It is now time for our morning offering. We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. While we listen to This Is My Song, remember you can donate in the moment via the donate button in the upper right-hand side or send in a donation to the office. I think we have a little problem with our CD. Okay, this is a very special time in our congregation where each of us has an opportunity to share major events in our lives, our joys, our concerns, and our sorrows, so that we can all be uplifted by our UU community. As I read the joys and concerns, or actually Daniel's going to read them, I will light a candle on your behalf.
Okay, do we have anyone who would like to share a joy or concern in the chat online? I realize there might be some lag, so we'll wait a few seconds here.
Get the candle lit.
Maybe I will share my joy. I'm happy that we are getting this makeshift live stream to somewhat work. And I'm really, really happy to see more than 20 people tuned in to the stream. I'm grateful for that.
I also will light a candle. This isn't concerned. I have a son in New York City, and his girlfriend works for a hospital, and I light a candle for them and all the people in New York City.
Okay, so use the chat to share your joys and concerns.
Did you have a concern?
Oh, you know what? I have to double check that I'm live chat. Okay, here we go.
I asked the candle, Molly, to light a candle for my deep sorrow for the people of Italy. Every time I listen to it and watch it, I can't stop crying. It's so sad what's happening there. I lived in Italy for a little while, and my husband lived there a long time. And we know these are joyful people. It's just delightful that they do sing every night, too. But I'm still sad.
Okay, I have a few more joys or concerns here. There's a concern from Bill and Cindy Miller. Our concern is for my two sons living in Europe now and for my son and daughter-in-law who are healthcare workers in Colorado. Our joy is that for today they are well. Okay, I've got another one from Andrew and Amanda. Amanda and I are joyful that our nephew's surgery to unfuse his skull went well and he is back home recovering with his parents. And I've got a wish from Layla Chambers. May all the people helping be blessed and protected. Thank you. And yeah, that's a very nice wish.
I light one more candle for all those joys and concerns that we hold in our hearts that we are not quite ready to share. Just know that we are all thinking about you and each of us, and we're all in this together.
My closing words are a poem written by my colleague and very beautiful, exquisite poet, the Reverend Lynn Ungard. This poem is going viral all across social media. Okay. She wrote, it's called Pandemic, and she wrote, "What if you thought of it as the Jews consider the Sabbath, the most sacred of times? Cease from travel, cease from buying and selling. Give up, just for now, on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing, pray, touch only those to whom you commit your life. Center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny it now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has come clear. Do not reach out your hands. Reach out your heart. Reach out your words. Reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better, for worse, in sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live." And our postlude, and you're invited to stay on chat after. Well, no, we're going to do Extinguishing Words first by Molly, pardon me.
I will now extinguish our chalice with the following words. Join me from home if you wish. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And we invite you to, we have to turn out our other. We invite you to stay afterwards on our chat, and we'll do a virtual coffee hour of sorts, and we'll see how that works.
It will be in Google Meet, and the link is in the chat.
Oh, it will be where?
In Google Meet.
Oh, it will be in Google Meet, and the link is in the chat box. Daniel just put it in there. We will now conclude our service with our postlude, which everything is holy now.
When I was a boy each week, on Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread. Everyone would kneel and bow to the day the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy. Made me wanna bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second rate hand me down. But I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy.